Federal government to release 350 billion naira from the 2017 budget for capital projects. Chief Justice of Nigeria cautions judges against use of technicalities in dispensation of justice. National Commission for Refugees urges states and wealthy Nigerians to donate to internally displaced persons as World Mark Refugee Day. On the international scene, son of Equatorial Guinea leader on trial in France in absentia over illicit acquisition of property. And in sports, National Sports Festival faces indefinite postponement due to fund shortage. Hello and welcome to Liberty News. I am Fozia Kabichukwu. The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, said that the federal government was ready to release 350 billion naira, being the first tranche for implementation of the 2017 budget. Adeosun said this in Abuja at the public presentation of 2017 Appropriation Act. She said that the federal government had enough cash available to immediately commence the execution of key projects and initiatives scheduled for the 2017 fiscal year. Also speaking, the Minister of Budget and National Planning, Senator Udoma Udoma, said funding of projects would now be on project-based release system to curb waste of public funds by ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs. He said also that part of the requirement for capital releases was evidence of compliance with the Bureau of Public Procurement Act. Udoma said that henceforth no MDA was authorized to enter into a foreign-denominated contract without the approval of the Ministers of Budget and National Planning and Finance. Similarly, the federal government said it would use a fraction of the looted funds recovered so far to finance part of the 2017 budget. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, said this at the 2017 budget breakdown in Abuja. He said that total revenue project was 5.08 trillion naira, with 11% coming from the recoveries made. He said the total revenue projected exceeded the 2016 projection by 30.26%, adding that all revenue projection was put at 41.7% compared to 19% in 2016. Udoma added that the high revenue expectation from oil was driven by joint venture calls, JVC, cost reduction, higher production and price, exchange rate, as well as additional oil-related revenues. Amid pressure to improve spending on capital projects to bridge the infrastructure deficit in the country, the federal government said payment of salaries and pension would remain top priority. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, made this known in Abuja at the public presentation of the 2017 Appropriation Act. The 2017 budget has a total spending estimation of 7.44 trillion naira, with 2.99 trillion naira allocated to recurrent expenditure, 2.36 trillion naira on capital expenditure, and 1.66 trillion naira on debt servicing. Statistics given by the minister showed that 1.88 trillion naira, which was 63% of the recurrent expenditure component of the budget, would be spent on personnel cost, and 281.1 billion naira, representing 9.4%, would be spent on pension. This shows that a total of 2.16 trillion naira would be spent on salaries and pension alone. Other aspects of the recurrent expenditure framework includes overheads, 219.84 billion naira and 138.7 billion naira for service-wide votes. The Police Special Fraud Unit has paraded 2 suspects for their alleged involvement in forging visa payment slips and fake visa procurement. Addressing the press at the Police Special Fraud Unit Ikoyi, the SFU spokesperson, Audu Lawal, urged members of the public to be cautious of activities of visa vendors who parade themselves as visa agents. Liberty News correspondent Odo Nyong reports.
Perhaps in desperation to seek better life abroad, some Nigerians have resorted to seek for visa at all costs. This desperation, according to the spokesperson of the Police Special Fraud Unit, will expose them to the likes of Awolola Sesan and Adebayo Ajasa, who specialize in forging visa payment slips and fake visa procurement. The suspects, who have been in this line of business for years, ran out of luck when the American embassy discovered irregularities in an applicant's visa fee payment.
When you give them the receipt, what they do, they will use that your receipt, take money from other applicants, put the money in their pocket, use that your receipt to pay for more than 2-3 applicants. And how do they do it? They take these receipts to their computer, use CorelDRAW application in Microsoft Word to edit the receipt. They take away the code that is given to you, that has given you access to American site.
For Afolabi, a 34-year-old single mother from Osun State, she employed the service of one Olawale to procure fake Heathrow immigration stamps and Chinese stamps to give her previous travel history.
Afolabi Olubimodukoala has confessed to the police that because she was desperately in need of visa, she paid the sum of 70,000 naira to Olawale, the sum of 70,000 naira to Olawale for the procurement of all the fake documents we found on this passport.
The suspects had this to say about their involvement in the act of fraud.
He only told me he has one visa fee, that the client that wants to use it, his passport has expired, that he will need to get another passport. He needs to renew his passport so that he can get another visa fee. That was the reason why I bought the visa fee from him.
It's not from us. My mind's so clear, so I have to leave where I am. I took bike to his office. When I get to his office, I met SFV people there. I was even arguing with them that, sir, with mail embassy, it's not from me, it's not from him.
It was the guy that said, okay, if you want it, we can boost your passport. So that was how the issue of the fake visa was solved.
Nigerians seeking to travel abroad are advised to desist from patronizing visa vendors, as it will have adverse effects on their identities which may affect them in the future. Odonyong, Liberty News, Lagos.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Walter Onogen, has cautioned judges against allowing technicalities to stand in the way of dispensing justice in the country. Onogen made the remark in Abuja when he declared open the 2017 National Energy Workshop for judges. He said that judges must not allow technicalities to stand in the way of justice in order to sustain public confidence in the judiciary. He said that the use of alternative dispute resolution ADR would engender time disposition of cases and encourage the judges to adopt it. The CJN noted that the theme of the workshop, Law and Changing Face of Petroleum and Power Sectors in Nigeria, was relevant in the light of the developments in the international energy markets. He said that the workshop would enlighten the judges on the global best practices in confronting the challenges that might arise in the power and petroleum sectors. Action for Democratic Party, ADP, has assured Nigerians of true democratic dividends if elected into power in 2019. The chairman of the party gave the assurance shortly after being issued certificate of registration at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. Liberty News correspondent Godwin Amundi tells us more.
As the pendulum begins to swing towards the 2019 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has recently registered and issued certificates to 5 political parties. One of such parties is the Action for Democratic Party, ADP. Members of the newly registered party from across the country who converged at the National Electoral Commission INEC headquarters were seen jubilating after the certificate was issued. Speaking with newsmen shortly after the ceremony, National Chairman of the party, Engineer Sani Yabaji, assured that his party will give Nigerians the dividends of democracy.
We want to bring unity. We want to ensure that we approach this country's governance with pragmatism. We want to make it feel as a part of the progress of this country. We want to make sure that you are also a stakeholder and you are giving your fair share.
Addressing the press conference at the party's national secretariat, Engineer Sani Yabaji said his party has an approach on improving the economy by ensuring that in the manufacturing sector, agriculture and mining are given equal attention so that all parts of the country can become a lot more productive in adding to the gross domestic product of the nation. How prepared is the Action for Democratic Party in moving Nigeria forward?
One thing is certain, ADP is prepared and ready. We have learned not to be ill-prepared for leadership. Lack of preparation is what has dragged Nigeria to the present state of affairs. That's correct. Action has been a key missing link in our polity. At ADP, we understand the urgency of our situation at the levels of economy, security, and general infrastructure. There's no more time to waste. Action forward.
According to the chairman, ADP has a mission to provide responsive leadership that will be transparent and accountable to the people. How true? Only time will tell. In Abuja, Godwin Amundi, Liberty News.
The consultative meeting between the acting president Yemi Osinbajo and traditional rulers from the northern part of the country, initially slated for Monday, has been postponed to Tuesday. Laolu Kande, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, office of the vice president, confirmed this on his Twitter handle in Abuja. Akande, however, stated that the acting president hosted the traditional rulers to iftar, breaking a fast at the banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja. The acting president on Sunday in Abuja met with traditional rulers from the southeast states of the Federation. Osinbajo at the meeting expressed the hope that the royal fathers would continue to offer useful suggestions and the right advice to ensure the country remained united. The acting president recalled that many Nigerians had paid the supreme price to keep the country united, saying that it will be wrong for men and women of goodwill in this generation to toy with those sacrifices that had been made. Chairperson of the Kaduna State Emergency Nutritional Action Plan and wife of the Kaduna State Governor Ummi El-Rufai has pledged commitment to partner Atar Communications, owners of Liberty Television and Radio, as part of efforts to tackle the scourge of malnutrition amongst pregnant women and children in Kaduna State. She made the pledge when she paid a courtesy call to Liberty Television and Radio office in Kaduna. Liberty News correspondent Phoebe Kuri has details of the report.
Ummi El-Rufai explained that the aim of the partnership is to tackle the scourge of malnutrition in the state with determination to enlighten people on the causes, effects, and possible solutions.
Be able to sensitize them, inform them, and enlighten them on the causes and effects and risks and possible solutions of malnutrition.
Chairman Atar Communication, Ahmed Tijani Ramalan, commended her effort in tackling malnutrition. He noted that the initiative is laudable as it will go a long way in addressing issues of malnutrition, poverty, and other social vices faced by women in Kaduna State and the region at large.
We wish to commend you very well for taking this very good initiative. As you all know, Kaduna State is about 100 years old, and Kaduna being the regional capital and maybe the head of the north. And I think this bold initiative taken by Your Excellency, I think it will not only assist Kaduna State, but also the entire north.
The Kaduna State Emergency Nutrition Action Plan, KADENAP, was launched in January 2017 as a task force with the sole purpose of ensuring that the disturbing statistics on malnutrition in Kaduna is reversed through concrete actions to provide food for the vulnerables. Phoebe Kure, Liberty News.
The news is coming to you on Liberty Television. You can visit our website on libertytvradio.com or our YouTube channel on youtube.com/libertytv Kaduna. Still ahead, National Commission for Refugees urges states and wealthy Nigerians to donate to internally displaced persons as World Mark Refugee Day. Son of Equatorial Guinea leader on trial in France in absentia over illicit acquisition of property. National Sports Festival faces indefinite postponement due to fund shortage. Stand by for this and more after the break. Welcome back. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons has appealed to state governments, corporate organizations and wealthy Nigerians to show love by donating to internally displaced persons in the country. The South-South Zonal Coordinator of the Commission, Andy Ubon, made the call in Uyo on Tuesday to mark the 2017 World Refugee Day. Ubon said that the World Refugee Day, observed on June 20 each year, was dedicated to raising awareness on the condition of refugees around the world. He said that refugees across the country required attention and love from all people, especially from the wealthy ones in the society. Ubon said that the internally displaced persons in Akwa Ibom State were in pathetic conditions that required urgent attention. As part of measures to improve on the required amount of nutrients intake by women and children in Kaduna State, wife of the governor and chairperson Kaduna Emergency Nutritional Action Plan, Umi Aisha El-Rufai, met with nutritionists from various institutions to research on ways to imbibe the use of available local resources at various households to make recipes that will improve balanced diet in food. Liberty News correspondent Phoebe Kuri has details of the report.
In a bid to tackle the alarming rate of malnutrition in Kaduna State through provision of required amount of nutrients for people, Umi El-Rufai reiterated the need for mothers to make recipes and come up with products like the ready-to-use therapeutic food, RUFT, through the use of available food produce, which is a vital nutritional component for children and pregnant women to improve their balanced diet.
Trying to look at locally producing foods that we can take at home. We're trying to create local recipes that we can give mothers at home to be able to use for their children, all in the bid to fight malnutrition. If a mother is able to put her available foodstuff in the house together to come up with a nutritious meal, then it would help us a long way in tackling the issue of malnutrition by God's grace. So
on his part, the General Manager, Kaduna State Transport Authority, KSTA, underscored the need for women at both urban and rural communities to use available food items to complement their meals. Hence the need for emergency action plan to tackle malnutrition head-on.
People from the grassroots or from our various villages, mothers that have malnourished children, you find that their inability to transport themselves from one locality to the closest PHC is what is hindering them from taking their children for the intervention.
Nutritionists threw their weights behind the key components, such as the degree of heat, food fortification and supplementation, quality portable product, protein-fortified blended food, and quality assurance control in all meals, amongst many others.
Utilization, we need to look into that very well, and at the community level, and not just at the community level. There are some that have even been to culinary school, but yet.
Boiling water briefly, because this is very important. Initially, when they adopt service, it makes them watch, and it may be a reason to stop what is being promoted. So I think the preparation should also be very clear.
That is perfect. And then you add it to the others. That is the required method, the standard method for complementary food. And no child has rejected that path.
There were presentations on fortified blended food production and the internal utilization and supply of food locally and internationally. Phoebe Kure, Liberty News.
The Director General of the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dakuk Peterside, has stated that Nigeria is in dire need of a maritime transport policy which will complement the existing national transport policy and advance the country's global maritime trade. The DG stated this at the opening of the National Workshop on Maritime Transport Policy, MTP, organized by NIMASA in collaboration with the International Maritime Organization, IMO. Peterside noted that the program is a new phase in the nation's journey towards effectively maximizing the maritime opportunities that abound the sector, especially in line with the agency's mandate of promoting and facilitating maritime trade. He also said that as part of the revolution going on in the transport sector, the President Muhammad Buhari-led administration is advancing the intermodal transport system by linking all the port complexes to the hinterland via the railway to further facilitate ease of doing business. The Nigeria Quarantine Service has appealed to the federal government to allow it return to the country's airports so as to curb the importation of unwholesome agricultural products. Coordinating Director of NAQS, Vincent Isegbe, told newsmen in Abuja that the withdrawal officers of the service from airports would enable unscrupulous persons to import unsafe products that could engender the spread of diseases and pests. He said the certification of agricultural products would save for the country billions of naira, which would have been used for disease control measures. The federal government on May 18 ordered that the Nigeria Quarantine Service, NDLA, and Nigeria Immigration Services, among others, should cease to function at the airports. The government said that the aim of the new policy was to quicken the ease of doing business and that all necessary checks should be done in designated areas. Muslims have been urged to live in peace with one another, irrespective of religious and tribal differences. The call was made during this year's closure of the annual Ramadan Tafsir of Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bauchi at Murtala Square in Kaduna. The Islamic scholar also led special prayers for peaceful coexistence, unity, and progress of the country. Liberty News correspondent Sani Garba Hassan, who was there, completes the report.
As a tradition, multitude of Muslims from different parts of the country gathered to witness the event, including from neighboring countries. Sayyidi Ali Dahir Bauchi read from the glorious Quran and translated by Sheikh Usman Dahir Bauchi, the renowned Islamic scholar, pray for the country. Many Islamic scholars witnessed the event, including Chief Imam Ngwarimi, Sheikh Musa Tanimu, who thanked the Almighty Allah for granting the Muslim Ummah a chance to witness the day.
See how the people answer when he is praying for our country, for the peaceful coexistence of our country. That's one of the essence of gathering this Murtala Square so that
Chief Imam also thanks the Almighty Allah for blessing the Sheikh with long life and prosperity in the past 30 years for performing religious duty.
I have to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sparing the life of our Sheikh. He has been doing this tafsir for more than 30 years.
The event took place at Murtala Square with many Muslims in attendance. Sani Garba Hassan, Liberty News.
The federal government raised $300 million from its first diaspora bond issued in the international capital market. The fund was raised at the rate of 5.625% for a tenure of 5 years. Debt Management Office, DMO, Director General Abraham Nwanko said the diaspora bond was targeted at Nigerians in the diaspora to enable them contribute to national development. The bond, he said, was structured as a retail instrument to appeal to a wide base of investors, adding that it was offered through private banks and wealth managers rather than the institutional investors that deal in large volume transactions. Nwanko said the diaspora bond had opened a new source of financing for projects of the country's development. This new window, he said, would enhance the funding liquidity and flexibility of the economy, which are necessary characteristics as the country gathers momentum towards the attainment of advanced economy status. The son of Equatorial Guinea's president went on trial in his absence in Paris on charges of using money plundered from his country to buy Parisian luxury properties and exotic cars. Teodorin Obiang, eldest son of President Teodoro Obiang and a vice president himself, denies charges of laundering embezzled public funds, for which he risks a sentence of 10 years in jail and huge fines if convicted. The case is the first of several to reach corruption in a broader judicial investigation into allegations of corruption in France by long-term leaders and family relatives in several African countries, including Gabon and Congo Republic. Obiang was already put on trial in January, but the case, which has been 10 years in the works, was postponed after his lawyers argued their client had not had enough time to prepare his defense. The 19th National Sports Fiesta, which was earlier slated for Calabar in Cross River State in 2015, but has suffered a series of postponement, may not hold soon due to paucity of funds to bankroll the biennial event. The last edition of the biennial Sports Fiesta was held in Lagos State in 2012. Minister of Youth and Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong, who gave the indication in Abuja, said the proposal for the fiesta was included in 2017 budget has been removed. Dalong said unless the ministry gets intervention from the corporate world, the fiesta has produced the country's best athletes and would not hold in a near future. To end the news, the top stories again. Federal government to release 350 billion naira from the 2017 budget for capital projects. Chief Justice of Nigeria cautions judges against use of technicalities in dispensation of justice. National Commission for Refugees urges states and wealthy Nigerians to donate to internally displaced persons as World Mark Refugee Day. Son of Equatorial Guinea leader on trial in France in absentia over illicit acquisition of property. National Sports Festival faces indefinite postponement due to fund shortage. The news team wishes you a pleasant listening time, leaving you with this Liberty quote by George Washington. Liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. That was the news. I am Fausia Kabir Tukur. Good afternoon.